Hey folks, welcome back. Always good to have our Markelly Farm family with us. We're going to make soap today here on the farm. If you've never made soap before and you're interested in that, you obviously are because you clicked on this video. We're going to make it and we'll show you how to do it. So you remember all that lard that we rendered down, we're going to use some of that to make some soap. You can use really any kind of fat to make soap, but we had the lard, so we're going to use that. So let's get this process started. It's not a complicated process, but there are some safety precautions you need to take, and we'll cover those along the way. So for this recipe, we need 80 ounces of fat. So we got 2 of our quarts of our lard and we dumped it into this pan, and we've got to heat it up just a little bit to get it out. Now the quart jars, we couldn't get it all out, so just throw those in a microwave for like 30 seconds and the rest of it will dump out of that jar. So 2 of our quarts came up to about 65 ounces. So what we did to round it out, rather than using a partial another jar, we used coconut oil to bring us up to 80 ounces. So we put this on just a little bit of heat, just enough to make us liquid, and I think we're there. I don't know that we have any chunks left in here, but we'll check. Maybe just 1 or 2. You're going to need a couple instant read thermometers, one for this oil mixture and one for our lye mixture when we make it. So we've got our 80 ounces of fat. It's ready to go. Let's move on to our other ingredients. So for this recipe, we need 24.29 ounces of liquid. So we zero out our container here. And then we're going to start with ice, around 10 ounces, 10 or 12 ounces of ice. And the reason we're using ice is because when you add lye to the solution, it's going to heat it up. Now you can use just water for this solution, or you can use milk, goat's milk, any kind of liquid that you want to use. So we're going to use our good raw milk that we get, and we'll bring that up to 24.29. We'll watch our scale. And we got it on just ounces and not pounds and ounces because that makes it easier. So there's 16, 17, we're in the 20s now, so we'll start going real slow when we get close. 24.29 is what we're looking for. So there's 24.25. Little splashes. 24.30. That's real darn close enough. So to measure out our lye, we came over here on the stove because there's a vent fan over here. You don't want to breathe these fumes, and we're using household lye. It's 100% lye. It's basically drain cleaner is what it is, but not just any drain cleaner. Make sure the label says 100% lye. So we need 10.86 ounces of lye. So we'll measure that out here. Try not to put your face right over the container. Boy, we're going to be just about right on this jar here. 10.95. So I'll get a spoon and I'll take a little bit out of there until we get to 10.86. So 10.85 is close enough. You're splitting hairs trying to get 8.6. So we got that measured out. So still over here underneath the vent, we're going to put the lye in the liquid. You never want to put liquid into the lye. We'll sprinkle that in there. We've got a little spoon that we're going to use to stir it around as we go. We'll put some in here, probably half of it, and then we'll give it a stir. You'll probably see that our ice cubes eventually will start melting. And once that's incorporated fairly well, we can add the rest. You can see there's some clumps in there, but they will eventually get moistened up and disintegrate. So we'll keep mixing this and making sure all of our lye gets dissolved. You can feel a little bit on the bottom. We'll just keep working that up. Okay, within a minute, our ice cubes are gone. It heats it up that quick. You can see the little particles in there. That's our cream that was in our milk. Not a problem. It's going to be all mixed together. It turns a beautiful yellow color. Now, if you were to use just water, it wouldn't turn the yellow color. It would be just like a pure white color. So if you want pure white soap, you can just use water. So we're going to get a thermometer out. We don't want to mix these two ingredients together here until they're about the same temperature. But we're going to add some oatmeal to our fat mixture here because we want to put some oatmeal in our soap. We're going to go with 6 tablespoons of oatmeal. And you want to use either colloidal oatmeal, which is an oatmeal powder, or take oatmeal from your cupboard and put it in your blender and make kind of a powder out of it. You don't want really coarse oatmeal in your mix. So we're going to mix 6 tablespoons of this powdered oatmeal into our oil. Okay, our mixture leveled out at about 120 degrees, even with that ice in there, so you can see how hot it gets. So our oil is right around the same temperature, so we're good. So we've got our immersion blender out, we've got it ready. And then once we mix this together, it's going to start creating soap. Soap is short for soponify or saponification is what this process is called once you mix the lye mixture in with your fats. So that's where the word soap comes from. And I forgot to tell you too, anytime you're dealing with lye, keep some vinegar around, because if you get any on your skin, the vinegar will neutralize it. I wear long sleeves too when I'm making soap. So we've got some molds out here ready too, because once this gets together we need to start pouring soap. We've got these little silicone molds. These are the scrubby bars that got the nubs on them. And then we've got some honeycomb, different honeycomb bars, because sometimes we put honey in our soaps. But we've got the, I forget, is that hexagonal or forget what angle that is, but we've got some rectangular ones too. So we're going to go ahead and dump our lye mixture into our fat mixture. We'll stir it up real good, and then we'll start with the immersion blender, and then it's going to come to a point that's called trace. So if you pick the blender up when it's turned off and the soap, you can see lines in it, that's when you're ready to pour, when it starts getting really thick. Okay, we've still got our gloves on, so I'm going to pour this onto my spoon so we don't do a lot of splashing around. And then we can start mixing this together. Once it's well blended, we'll get the immersion blender in here. So you see like an even color. Now back in the day they would do big amounts of soap in big pots. This is a 5-quart pot here is what we're using to give you an idea. And I like it because it has the pour spout, so we can pour right into our soap molds. I don't fill them clear to the top. I fill them just below the rim. So they make a real nice clean edge on the top. So that's pretty good. Let's get our immersion blender in here. We're going to keep our spatula handy to clean this pot out. So I like to burp my blender, get any air out of it. Get it started. You see a little bit of the oatmeal in there. And it's getting thicker. Beautiful color. Now our lye mixture was warm when we started, which means your batch won't come together as quick. You can cool your lye temperature and it can be even as low as room temperature, and that's fine. But then it goes pretty quickly. This buys us a little time, but you can put your lye mixture in a water bath too, or an ice bath with a bowl of ice underneath. That kind of speeds up the cooling. But we just come through every now and then, hit it with our mixer, make sure we stayed mixed while it's cooling off. And then once we come to that trace point, we can start molding it up. The bigger the pot, the longer it takes, the warmer it is. So if you're going to do a bigger pot, maybe you'd want to go colder. I don't know. It's up to you how fast you want to make it. You can see how it's getting thicker as it cools. Not too far now. It's been about 20 minutes or so. The cooler your lye solution, the quicker it is. It could take as little as 5 minutes or less if you're working with cold stuff. And you don't have to run your blender full time either. You don't want to burn your blender up. Just every couple minutes, give it a stir. Make sure it's stirred up so you don't get one area that's cooling faster than the other. About like that. Alright, you see how you can see the lines now when we pick our blender up. That's called trace. I'm going to go just a hair more to where it's just a little thicker, and then we'll start pouring. But we're right there. Okay, here we go. Going to start pouring our molds. Make them almost full, about like that. Pour spout on the pot makes it very easy. So you're not having to mess with like ladles and stuff like that. I'm going to pour our scrubby molds over here now. Alright, we're going to go to our rectangle molds over here. Just in case we got a little too much for the molds, I got a little loaf pan over here lined with some parchment that we can make a brick out of and then cut bars out of that. See See, the soap's getting thicker because it's getting colder. Some people pour it a lot thicker than this, where you got to almost spread it. And they'll even like do designs on top when they're cutting their soap blocks. They'll do like a swirly design on top. We're going to be pretty close on these molds. Hopefully I got just the right amount. I ordered some new ones so we would have more. Right, we're looking pretty good. We may have the perfect amount for these molds. We got all of our molds filled. You can see towards the end it started getting a little thicker as we were pouring it. Some people like that swirly little detail on top. We had a little bit left over. I poured in a little loaf pan lined with some parchment. We can cut little like hotel type size soaps out of that for people to try instead of giving them a whole bar and they figure out they don't like it. But really cool. We didn't put any fragrance in it. We wanted fragrance-free soap. But if you're going to put fragrances in your soap, make sure it is therapeutic grade essential oils. You don't want to use anything that, not just anything you buy on Amazon, because some of it comes from countries that don't have a lot of standards, and there could be some volatile chemicals inside your oil. So make sure it's therapy grade. And I think for this big batch, it would be, they say to do 5%. So that would be around 4 to 5 ounces at the top end, but I would experiment with a little bit of less to start with. So these are going to sit for 24 hours before we can unmold them. So we'll see you in the morning. I got places to go tonight. All right, folks, it's the next day. We're going to unmold all of our soap. So let's check this stuff out. Okay, here we go. Got our silicone molds here. So we should be able to just pop these out, kind of roll them back. There's our beautiful soap. Now if you've got sharp edges on here, it's still not quite super hard yet. You can just run your finger around like that. And we'll put them over here on the rack. Now if they're a little harder, you can take a little peeler and peel those edges down. So I'm just going to plop this over on this plate, kind of push them out. Beautiful looking bars. You like that one's got a little just go around the edge real lightly. Take that right off. Now people used to use these soap chips, probably not with oatmeal in them, but they would use them to do their wash, like washing the clothes. All right, let's get our next mold out here. These silicone molds make it nice. Real easy to pull the soap out. A lot of people will use wooden molds, just make a big rectangular block, and then they cut the soap. But these molds are so much easier, and they're not expensive. I think for a set of 2 of these molds is only like $8. Get them on Amazon. Just type in soap molds. You can feel the soap is still just a little tacky, but that's going to harden up over time. There we go. There's all our little scrubber bars. Let's go to the next. These hexagonal or whatever this shape is. These are the ones with the really cool beehive. Isn't that neat? The last batch of soap I made had some honey in it, is why I went with the beehive bars. These got nice edges on them here. Super cool. So we're going to get the rest of these taken out, and then we'll come back and show you. Popping these rectangular ones out now. Really cool designs. A lot of these have the edges that needed to be trimmed off. I like this pattern here. But this mold here has all different patterns in it. You got flowers, more bees. Here's our excess soap that we just poured into the loaf pan. Got some edges on it. We'll make some little sample soaps out of this that people can try. Now when people make the big square blocks or rectangular blocks of soap, this is how they come out. So rather than make a bunch of little tiny slices, I'm going to make little small bars out of this. About like that probably. And this is just a cheese cutter is all this is. You just come down through your soap just like that. Some people have soap cutters that they only use for soap, but little small bar. We'll take the edges off of that too after we cut it. so it's not sharp on the edge. Cut the rest of these. Nice little bar soap. So we got four bars out of that extra leftover soap. There we go, folks. Look at all our beautiful bars of soap. Pretty cool, huh? So this soap needs to sit down here for 4 weeks now. I know that seems like a long time, but that's the process, and that's why we brought it down here to the basement so it's out of the way. Just got it on some little drying racks. So what this will do is it's going to cure a little bit better, it's going to harden up, it's going to firm up, and it's going to lose pH from that lye solution. It'll get more neutral as it sits. Right now it would be a little harsh to use on your skin, so you don't want to do that. So in about a little over or right at a month or so, this soap will be ready to use. Now the bars we just package up, put it in some cellophane, wrap it up, and we'll give some away to some of our neighbors. We'll definitely give some to the folks that gave us all the lard, and then we're not going to waste these soap chips either. We'll hold on to these and let these sit here too. We can use those for something. Now I bet some of you didn't know that you could take pork fat and make soap out of it. Basically any oils, really. You can substitute your oils in your mix. You can even use like olive oil and other stuff like that, whatever you think is healthy for you. You can put fragrance in it. We chose to go fragrance free because we don't want any issues with that type of stuff, and we don't need it, so we didn't put it in there. I hope you give soap making a try. It's quite fun, very rewarding process. So people have been making lye soap since 2800 BC. So it's been happening a long, long time. So come back and join us here on the farm for some more fun projects here and there, and recipes and everything else homestead for your pleasure. So we hope you stay safe and stay healthy. Come back and see us real soon here on Markelly Farm.